Today on Locked On Canadiens, the sun will come out eventually, and even Connor Hellebuyck can't block that.
You are Locked On Canadiens, your daily podcast on the Montreal Canadiens. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into another episode of Locked On Canadiens. Thank you for making us your first list of the day, for subscribing wherever you get your podcast, doing that supports us here on the show and ensures you don't miss an episode. And thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. Even on days like today, we do love saying that. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. My name is Ian Boisvert, also known as that. Maybe it's Ian. I'm joined by Laura Saba, also known as the Active Stick. Laura, a really fantastic hockey game that capped a fantastic Winter Olympics for the hockey, both on the men's and women's side. And just like the women's side, it ends in an overtime, a 2-1 overtime win for the United States. Very funny how both of those things worked out. We woke up very early on Sunday for nothing. But how are we feeling now that the dust has settled slightly on what was really just I'm at the end of all of this, a really great tournament.
I honestly, it ended in heartbreak, right? Most of our listeners are, in Canada, Team Canada fans, anti-Team USA fans. I think that the two best teams in the tournament ended up in the final. I think that watching the games, despite how hard Canada made it for themselves, like these teams were head and shoulders above the others. And I worry that the NHL looks at the injuries and does not allow them to participate again, because you can't not have the best players play against each other. That game was incredible. I just kept thinking, imagine you're a neutral fan right now, how exciting this is.
Yeah.
And so I really think that the NHL players going to the Olympics is a testament to just how many nations have gotten really good at hockey, but just also really how the United States has caught up to Canada. And I just, it would be really enjoyable if the result had been the Team Canada had won a gold, but at the end of the day, there's still a lot of takeaways from this tournament that we can be happy about.
Yeah, so we'll start with the gold medal game. We'll talk about Canada, talk about Nick Suzuki, who I thought played, again, another solid, reliable hockey game. We'll talk about what's next for Canada. There's another international best-on-best tournament in 2 years. They'll play the World Cup of Hockey in 2028. We'll talk about that, and then we'll talk about the bronze medal game. I know it seems like small potatoes at this point, but hey, Oliver Kapanen played in that game and wins a bronze medal. Juraj Slafkovsky, of course, leaves without one. All right, let's start with Canada, U.S. in the gold medal game. I think just generally speaking, one of the best hockey games ever played. Like it's really, truly, how I feel, how that happened, taking the result of it out. However, the one thing I cannot take out of this feeling is that, and nobody can, if everybody who listens to this show every day and listens to me whine and complain about 3-on-3 overtime will know that this is not me having sour grapes in the moment. This is me having sour grapes about a thing that has existed in hockey now for, I don't know, probably 10 years. 3-on-3 overtime has existed for 10 years in hockey now. And I will continue to stand on business that it is bad for hockey. 3-on-3 overtime is good for getting a result, which is in this case is what it did, but it did not get, in my opinion, it did not capture the essence of what that game was.
Yeah.
That game was not two teams trading chances. That game was Canada was all over the United States. And who's to say Canada doesn't continue to pour it on against Hellebuyck and the US gets one break the other way and scores at 5-on-5. The Canadiens went to a Stanley Cup final doing that, right? Carey Price was under siege in overtime against the Knights, and all it took was one bounce to go the other way. Like, I think we need to, in best-on-best medal deciding games at the very least, we cannot do 3-on-3. It is a shame that game ended that way.
Well, let's look at the NHL. That goes away in the playoffs.
Yep.
Right?
When it matters.
When it matters, it goes away. So I think that's the biggest clue. And I do think that 3-on-3 kind of, it is a crapshoot a lot of the time. But even strategizing in 3-on-3, like I feel like you take control of the game away from the people who are actually playing it.
Yeah.
And again, it isn't sour grapes. I know, if you've listened to the show ever, even once, there's like a 50% chance that Ian was complaining about 3-on-3
Longtime
overtime on one
hater.
of those
This is not
episodes.
news. I'm a hater of 3-on-3 in the NHL regular season. I do not want to see it anymore. I do not care how fun and electric. It's not electric anymore, man. It is an overcoached mess. It does not resemble hockey. It needs to go.
Yeah. Back to that game, I do need to say that performance by Connor Hellebuyck was generational. He is one of the best goaltenders playing today, if not the best goaltender. I know that, that's not always, it's sometimes goaltending can feel subjective a lot of times, but that was him. That was Hellebuck's moment. Like that gold medal belonged to Connor Hellebuyck.
Yeah.
And you could hear it when the cheers went up when he was getting his medal, right? That was it was a fantastic performance. And I think that it blows my mind that he has a reputation as a choker because he's so good and he's gotten beaten on like random goals once in a while, but because he hasn't until now won the big one, he gets
Yeah.
a reputation like that. But it just incredible. Like I watched Canada and this was the best I'd seen them. This is the best I'd seen them in a long time. So, you see that and you see the performance. You don't even have to look at the shot totals and also I don't even want to look at the chance generation because it's going to make me cry. But
It's wild.
he was so incredible. And then on the other side of the ice, I'll let you take that one away.
Yeah. So I think I'm of two minds of this, right? Like Jordan Binnington did not lose this game for Canada. It's tough to say that a goalie who faces about 30 shots and gives up 2 goals lost it for one team. I don't, especially the save he made in overtime before they ended up winning it. Like he came flying across the crease to rob a guy on a one-timer.
Yeah.
The challenge I have with Jordan Binnington is that no matter what he does, if he does not win that overtime game, the whole point of having him there is thrown away, right? They always tell you, Canada, John Cooper, whoever's picking that team, all the players will tell you, when the game is on the line, that's the guy they want, right? When a goal could decide it, that's who they want in the net. So when in that moment, when a goal can decide the game, and you've died on the Binnington Hill for months, actually over a year now, if you go back to Four Nations, when he does not come away with that, it is a failure. Like that is why you brought him. It's sort of to me comparable to when Canada brought Chris Kunitz to the Olympics in 2014. It's like, your goal is to play with Sidney Crosby. No one else can do it. You're the only one who can. And then he shows up and he can't hang. Like that's a little bit different because he couldn't hang in any respect. Binnington through most of this tournament was okay. He was serviceable. Like he was doing enough. And like, I think Canada is a victim of their own success in that, like, you could put a lot of goalies back there and they're fine. So it's really like, who does this coach and this team feel most comfortable with? That has to be done now, though, as far as I'm concerned, because that mythos of Jordan Binnington, the overtime elimination game decider is gone when it mattered most. Like Four Nations is Four Nations. This was the Olympics. And I understand. I'm not saying like the goal that won it, it's a guy wide open on the other side of the ice, right? Like I'm not saying that this is at all Binnington's fault. What I am saying is that the thought process in picking him is flawed. And we'll talk about what's coming for Canada in the next 2 tournaments. In 2 years, they'll play a World Cup, and 2 years after that, we're back to the Olympics. Like they need to change the way they view how they pick their goalie, because like if you're picking him for that moment and he loses in that moment, you kind of have no choice but to hang it on the guy that was supposed to deliver in that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the broader conversation about this is going to be in the next segment because I do have some thoughts on it specifically.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say, as much as I hate 3-on-3 overtime, like McKinnon and McDavid need to play it better. McDavid was trying to play hero ball. He had the puck both times. He just tried to end win it on his own. He was trying to force his own Sidney Crosby moment, but the challenge is Sidney Crosby didn't force the Sidney Crosby moment. He got open. He found himself in an open spot and called for a pass from a generational player in Jerome McGinley.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
he needed to rely on his teammates, and he chose not to. And it did not work out, unfortunately. All right, we'll leave that there. When we come back, we'll talk about what's next for Hockey Canada. We'll talk about what changes need to be made, if any are going to be made, before they play again at the World Cup of Hockey in 2028. And we'll get into that in just a minute here on Locked On Canadiens. Ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll be automatically entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. That's right. Flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is the perfect time to lock it in. I love futures this time of year, whether it's picking a team to win the championship or grab a conference title. It adds that little layer of excitement to each game down the stretch. And now, not only can you pick your cash, but it can also send you to the finals. Visit fanduel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, welcome back. Thank you for tuning into another episode of Locked On Canadiens, for making us your first listen every day. And hey, if you are making us your first listen every day, you might as well join the Everydayer Club for ad-free audio, access to our group chat on Discord, and more. Use code DEADLINE ahead of the trade deadline for 1 month free. That's right. You'll get a free month if you use the code DEADLINE ahead of the trade deadline. Join now at lockedoncanadiens.supercast.com or hit the link in the show notes to join us. All right, Laura. We flirted with this conversation, but before we get into sort of what happens next, we didn't talk about Nick Suzuki, who I thought in the gold medal game, whatever they asked of him, he did.
Yeah.
You know, he killed two U.S. penalties. He was phenomenal on both of them. He was on the ice when they scored their only goal of the game. He won a board battle that got the puck back to Taves, who was able to slide it over to Makar, and the rest is history on that one. Like, if we're sort of putting this together with what comes next for Canada, like, I think Nick Suzuki did plenty in this tournament to be in the conversation next time around. Should he be, in full stride in the NHL when those picks are made? What did you think of Suzuki's? Let's just say the gold medal game in this instance.
I thought he was really good. I thought it was a little bit baffling that he and Marner didn't get played more. There was a lot of line blending, and I kind of get that that's what John Cooper does sometimes. But some of the lines didn't really make sense. And I think in the second period, they could have used Suzuki more, let's be honest. Yeah. I thought he had a really good game. And I think I'm going to maintain from day one, if you don't understand what Nick Suzuki brings to the table, then there's no helping you, right? I don't think that you understand hockey. Right? If you're expecting Nick Suzuki to go there and be a Mitch Marner, then you're mistaken. If you're expecting him to be there as a McKinnon or a Macklin Celebrini, you're fully mistaken. But you can't just take all offense players. You need two-way guys. You need guys who are going to be, keeping the puck out of the net and winning those board battles. And he made so many smart plays. I thought that he generated multiple chances in this game, and that's what Nick Suzuki is. Right?
Yeah. He picked off Brady Tkachuk in the offensive zone and nearly scored.
That was so funny.
Then they had Brady Tkachuk mic'd up on the NBC broadcast, and later on in the game, they showed what happened afterwards. And Brady immediately complains to Quinn Hughes, like, next time he's there, can you say something? Like, why don't you pay attention and not pass to the guy in a red jersey in the middle of the ice? If there's any consolation from the U.S. winning this game, it's that both Tkachuk brothers were complete non-factors and genuinely bad. Like, they did not play well at all. Yeah. And on top of that, that's the last meaningful game those guys will play all year. So, that's that I always love to take in. All right, let's get to what Canada looks like. Let's tackle 2028 first. Let's tackle the World Cup of Hockey, which I'm excited for. The last time around, it was awesome. It was a lot of fun. Obviously, they won't be a Team North America this time. There will be some other format. They haven't fully fleshed all that out yet.
They've got time.
They've got time. You're in charge of Team Canada next time around, Laura. Mm-hmm. What's the first change you're making? Did you decide in watching this tournament and go, enough is enough, we need to do this?
Enough nostalgia and enough this is someone's guy, right? Jordan Binnington is someone's guy. Anthony Cirelli was someone's guy. I know that's not who went, right? Enough of that. Drew
But it's
Doughty.
indicative of the picking process, right?
Yes.
Like I think you're bang on with that.
Yeah, you change the picking process. You take the best players available. I don't mind having like role players saying like you need some guys who are better defensively. I don't mind that. I don't mind even I know a lot of people had problems with Tom Wilson, Brad Marchand, all of that, right? Brad Marchand to me was more of a nostalgia pick than anything else because he's not doing well this season. He's hurt, right? That was
gold medal game. It was so funny watching Brad Marchand. He was like in position to do the right thing all the time, and then his hands were broken. Like I felt like I was watching Brendan Gallagher play at the Olympics.
Right.
It was just I joke a lot. Like Brendan Gallagher finds himself in the right spot, and then his stick turns into a wet mop, and that was Brad Marchand the entire game.
Absolutely, that's exactly it, right? So you take less of the like this is my guy, right?
Yeah.
Jordan Binnington is someone's guy. That goes away. So you really have to focus. Also, I think that it's kind of crazy how they said that Nick Suzuki's season made him play his way onto the team, but Jordan Binnington and Colton Parayko's seasons didn't have them play their way off.
It doesn't work both ways. Isn't that crazy?
It doesn't work both ways. And again, I'm super proud of Nick Suzuki or whatever.
Incredibly.
But at the same time, like, you know, and there's always going to be for players like Hagel, for Harley, Suzuki, guys like that, that's always going to be like you have to be dominant in order to be in the conversation. You don't get a default. Like you're not like Macklin Celebrini, incredible. He's a default, right? McKinnon, McDavid, all of the greatest players are like there's no question. Like there's no question of them. Like they're a shoo-in, right? Anyone beyond your top two lines, or even like I would say your top four, anyone but beyond your top defensive pairing, like those people are going to have to be lights out every season. And the good news is like Nick Suzuki's that kind of person. But I just think it's absolutely crazy that you look at the season that's going on in St. Louis and you still select Jordan Binnington and Colton Parayko, or you still start like take Jordan Binnington as your third goalie because Logan Thompson, he might not have been great in that game against, I don't even remember who it was it Switzerland? I have no idea. He was fine. He was like, he was not great, right? You take him, he has the better save percentage over the last two seasons.
Yeah. I think this is the challenge for me, right? Like Canada, I look at positionally at forward. There's not a player on Team USA I would take over Connor McDavid or Nathan McKinnon. Nathan McKinnon was puking his guts out this whole week. Like it's I'm not giving him a pass, but it's an explanation for why at 5-on-5 he couldn't move. Like it was just not when on the power play he was excellent because he just could stand there. It was
he
fine.
was green.
Yeah, it was tough. Yeah, he was trying to join his friend Kale as one of the translucent defense. But like defenseman, right? Quinn Hughes is it's Makar or Hughes, like one of those guys. It's a toss up between those two.
Yeah.
So the top end there, Canada has it or is at least tied with the US. In net, there's nobody touching Connor Hellebuyck, man.
No.
And it was decades of Canadian dominance at that position, right? Like you go back to 2010, right? It was Roberto Luongo. It was Marty Brodeur was there. But did Fleury go? I think Fleury was there.
I think
but
it was
2014. It's Luongo, it's Brodeur, it's Price. Like they just and then they get to here and that's dried up.
Yeah.
Because a lot of kids in Canada grew up wanting to be Sidney Crosby and not necessarily Carey Price. And I think that is one of the development things that I don't think is going to be fixed in 2 years. I think it's just going to be Team Canada takes the hottest Canadian goalie at the time.
Jet Greaves.
Ooh, I do love that. I love that kid a lot.
I need to double check because I'm fairly certain he's Canadian.
I believe he's from Ontario. I believe Jet Greaves would be able to play for Canada. And that is a great pick because maybe in 2 years he's that guy. He's shown that he can almost single-handedly will a team into a position like that.
Yes.
Last year, down the stretch, I had nightmares about Jet Greaves and the Blue Jackets coming back and almost taking that playoff spot from the Canadiens.
And he's still good.
Yeah, I would take him in a heartbeat. Yeah.
But that's the thing, right? So you need the guys like that. Sorry, not to like hijack.
No,
but
go ahead.
You need the guys that are like that to have a little bit more time to show what they've got. And also you need Logan Thompson, who's not like a rookie or anything. You need him to show what he's got, right?
Yeah.
And you kind of have to look at the US too. You've got Jake Ottinger, and then you've got like, who knows, 4 years from now, Jacob Fowler might be in that conversation.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? You have to worry about US goaltending. And this is one thing I will say. I know we're like running out of time, but Like Quebec really needs to have some really tough conversations about the talent that's coming out of here, because a lot of that talent, the goaltenders you just mentioned, Luongo, Brodeur, there's so many of them that come out of here. Fleury, they come out of here. That's not happening anymore. We have to have those conversations here in Quebec as well. And a lot of times it is a money thing. We did kind of allude to it in a previous episode.
Yeah.
Like Canada really needs to examine not just its decision making, but it's also its development.
Yeah. No, I agree. And look, I think Doughty is not here next time. Matthew Schaefer's going to be here. I almost wonder if Noah Dobson's here next time. I almost wonder if he proves down the stretch here and into next season that he can be an all situations type defense. He already is that for Montreal. Like, that's not a question. But like, he's not going to get power play time. He doesn't get power play time in Montreal, and he's still an effective player. Yes. So like, I think I'm wondering if that is what's next. But I do think, with the World Cup of Hockey 2 years away, that is going to be a hybrid of, like, it might be Crosby's last time wearing a Canada jersey in an international tournament, assuming he doesn't go to Worlds. Like, it might be the time to start handing the torch a little bit and to move on from some of those older guys, and hand this to the next generation. It'll be really interesting to see. I feel fairly confident that the next time they have one of these tournaments, though, it's going to be the same roadblock. It's going to be the U.S. It's going to be Hellebuyck. You have to find a way to beat them. All right, we'll leave that there. We come back. There are two more Montreal Canadiens to talk about, as Oliver Kapanen played for the first time and won a bronze medal, and we'll get into that in just a minute here on Locked On Canadiens. There's nothing like being in an NBA arena. The crowd, the energy, the moment. Getting tickets, though, that part hasn't always been so simple. That's why Game Time has become the go-to app for scoring tickets fast, without the hassle. It puts the advantage back where it belongs, with the fans. Look, we're no strangers to it on this show. You hear us, you hear Laura and I talk about this all the time. We use Game Time every time we go to a game together. I pull up the app, I look for an NHL game. You could look for an NBA game if you want, and you can have tickets locked up in minutes. You see the all-in price up front. When you're negotiating with like a group of people, having that one solid number, here's what everybody is going to need to pay, that's really helpful. There's no surprise fees at checkout. Plus, being able to see the view from receipt before buying makes the decision super easy. Everything feels quick, intuitive, and stress-free from start to finish. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. That's code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today, and remember, it's gametime.co, not gametime.com. All right, welcome back. We need to take a look at the bronze medal game. It was Oliver Kapanen stepping into the lineup for one Mikko Rantanen, who
looking incredible.
It was injured against Canada, and I love how Finland didn't even decide to mess around with the lineup. They said, "Okay, kid, who we dressed and benched for an entire game earlier this tournament, you're on the top line," and he looked fantastic. He never once looked out of place. I found it funny, like the NBC broadcast here in the States was horrific. It was not no matter what game was going on, they were talking about the 1980 Miracle on Ice team. It was a tremendous waste of anyone's time who watched those. But I will say, they stopped at one point in that game. They stopped their DVD commentary on the Miracle movie that Disney made 20 years ago to say, "Hey, Kapanen's having a really great game. That's how good he was." They stopped doing the patriotism propaganda machine for 20 seconds to be like, "This kid's playing pretty good." Yeah. What do you think that's going to do for him coming back to Montreal with a medal around his neck?
I want to say one thing is that I'm glad he got to play, because Same. I know he was going to get a medal either way. Like poor Darcy Kemper, right? I know the medal is going to be around your neck anyway, but he must feel so much better having played, right? Having played for that medal and being so instrumental in that game. Like the entire time I was thinking, like, Finland, you messed up, man. Like, why was this guy on your bench, right? Like, imagine him against Canada. Like, would that outcome have been different? That game was so close, right?
Yeah.
Just an incredible game by him. And what I really loved about that was that he didn't even flinch, right? We know that this is going to be a guy that when the big moments happen, he's not going to step away from them despite his youth. Like, the versatility that he brings is going to be priceless for the Montreal Canadiens. And I am at that point right now where I start wondering, like, our team's going to be looking at him and saying, like, can we have Kapanen? And I really hope that that doesn't happen, because I feel like he's an unexploited market inefficiency for the in favor of the Montreal Canadiens. I was just like, I'm so happy. Like, I felt so, like, you know, I'm sure he was happy just to be there, happy to be with his heroes in the locker room, like, you know, skating with them, training with them, whatever. But like, the fact that he actually saw ice time was just, and it's not the first time this happens. Like, the Olympics does this a lot, right? And it happens less often with the US team or the Canadian team, so we think of it less. But like, there's guys that they bring and they just bench, right? There's guys that are just the depth guys. But like, that game for me solidified for him. And again, like, I feel like it must feel so much better having that medal around your neck, knowing that you did something to earn it. Yeah.
And look, like, he did not play a game that was anything different from what we've seen him in Montreal. The Finns' first goal of the game, he's working the puck below the net. It comes out around to the point. And where does he go? Laura, where does Oliver Kapanen always go?
To the net.
He goes to the net, and it always does something good. It always does something good. And in this case, like, he doesn't even get a point, but he creates chaos in front of the net. Like, there are so many big players in this sport, and big players that we've had on this team, who we could not strap $100 to the goal, to the goalpost, and say, go to the net, that's yours. They wouldn't do it. Kapanen, he has stepped into the NHL and now into the Olympics, and the only thing he has known is how to go to the front of the net. Like that. This is why I am so fervent in my belief that the search for a second line center is over. Like, he's going to be that guy. He's got the computer, and he's got the skill set. Like, he hit 2 goalposts in that game. He beat the goalie for Slovakia twice, just didn't beat the medal. Like, I'm so staunchly in favor of him being given the opportunity to succeed in that role and struggle in that role, right? Like, we talked about it when that second line, the kid line, was really struggling a couple weeks ago, and that leaving them together might burn you a couple points here or there, might seem frustrating. But having them work it out together is going to be helpful. Having Kapanen come back and have that second line center role with an Olympic medal around his neck is only going to make that player more complete in the future. Like, I'm all in on this player being that guy.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There was another Hab in that game, unfortunately. Yes. I'm not talking about Thomas Tatar. I'm talking about Juraj Slafkovsky, who leaves without a medal.
But he was named to the All-Star team.
Yeah.
The top line of the All-Star team was McKinnon, McDavid, and Juraj Slafkovsky.
Yeah.
That was phenomenal. The top line of this tournament.
Yep. He deserves it. I mean, it was very clear, especially in the game against the States, that bumped them into the bronze, and then the bronze medal game. It was the Slafkovsky show. And if you could shut him down, you were going to be fine. And there were moments where he was trying to just will his team. Like, come on, guys, I can do this. We can do this. And it's just not enough. I think Slovakia is a couple forwards and another really great defenseman away from being a legitimate problem at these Olympics.
A goalie. They need a goalie.
They do, but like, Hellebuyck was great. Like, he struggled in the later rounds, like, but they don't get to those points without Hellebuyck.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you though. Like, I think finding a legit,
like, imagine Yara was still young.
I still think of that Mark Lazarus wrote for the Athletic about, you know, Slafkovsky resurrecting Slovakian hockey. And at the 2014 Olympics, like when Slovakia lost, and Halak said, "There's no one coming."
Yeah. And
like, I hope as a Canadiens fan, that makes me sad that Jaro Halak was sad. Like, that guy gave us so many great memories. Like, that bummed me out. I hope he watched this tournament and was like, we're so back. Yeah. Like, I hope, even though, again, like, they went from, you know, 4 years ago, they won a bronze medal, but there was always the asterisk of, well, there was no NHLers there. Yeah. And now you put all of the NHLers in.
They've only taken one.
They are one step back. Yeah. Right? They weren't so far removed from the play. They finished higher than Sweden.
Yeah.
They finished higher than the Czechs.
They played for a medal.
Yeah. I Slafkovsky's quote kind of bummed me out. I'm not going to lie, where he said, "We finished fourth. We might as well have finished last. I don't care. We didn't medal."
Yeah.
I hope he takes that anger back to Montreal. I hope he makes that on Thursday the New York Islanders problem.
Yeah, well, that's gonna be a tough game, honestly, because like there's like Sheffer who didn't make the team, and this is the first time they play, and all of that. But I will say, like one of the biggest things for me with Slafkovsky is that he is going to have more behind him if he tries to pull this in Montreal. He
Yep.
has an entire supporting cast, right? Most of the roster is going to be. So, like, I do think that the one thing that I am a little bit nervous about, and I probably shouldn't say this about my favorite player, is that I worry about the devastation and hangover from this game, like, permeates Nick Suzuki for the next few. I hope that he has the opposite reaction. I hope he has that anger and fire, but I don't know.
Nick Suzuki's never seemed to me to be a guy that gets bothered by these sorts of things for extended periods of time, right? You get knocked down, you pop right back up. In fact, like you look at, when he went to the World Juniors, which people were using as a slight against him earlier in this tournament, so I feel like it's fair to bring it up. He didn't play well in that World Juniors, and he came back I believe he went back to his OHL team, the Guelph Storm, and he won a championship. Like he learned from it and got better. I think that's the only thing he can take away from that. I think it's the only thing Slafkovsky can take away from that is there's still work to do.
Yeah.
And that work, this experience is going to make me a better player. And I do think it's entirely possible that we're talking about these guys finishing out the season in the best way possible, that they just come back and they're angry and they saw what it was like to play against the best of the best in a best on best tournament, and they see what the gap is. And I think that knowing is the most important part. It's what they do with that when they get back. Just one small aside. Thank goodness everyone got through healthy, huh? Like, at least from us. I know you mentioned earlier, the NHL, the owners will probably try to fight against going because players got hurt. I don't think that'll go anywhere because I think generally speaking, they will all see a boost from this tournament having been played.
Yeah, there's, Fiala, Morrissey, Sid, who else?
It's definitely a problem. But the challenge is they knew that going in. It wasn't like they were assured nobody's gonna get hurt, and then hey, somebody got hurt. Like they knew going in that this was a thing. But I think they all kind of gritted their teeth and said it's gonna happen. We need to put our league in the best position, and thankfully they did. Now there are a lot of ways that they can un-NHL this tournament, and as we've harped on, getting rid of 3-on-3 in medal rounds should be at the top of the list.
Yes.
I'm almost in favor of, even in these tournaments and in the NHL, going back to ties. I don't care. Go 4-on-4 in overtime and then go to a tie. Who cares? I'm so over this. We need a winner nonsense. It's garbage. Any final thoughts on the tournament before we call it a day here?
Honestly, no. I know it's sad. It's hard for, especially now with what's going on in the world. Like this is really like a moment where I'm actually very sad about this. But like you said, the sun's going to come out. Like, I've missed my NHL team so much. Yeah. I've missed having, rooting for all these guys as a group. So I really hope that they give us a lot to cheer for in the next couple of months, and we get a deep playoff run from them.
Yep. We have a couple more days before our guys come back. I'm very excited to see Lane Hudson and Mike Matheson and all of the guys that we've really enjoyed seeing. And hopefully they got a good rest and the Canadiens can use that as a springboard into the playoffs.
Yes.
All right. Let's leave that there. Thank you for making Locked On Canadiens your first listen of the day, for tuning in. We're leaving trivia on a day like today. We can't do trivia. It doesn't seem right. It's not a trivial day. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Follow us everywhere so you can get the latest episodes. If you never miss an episode, the Everyday Club is built for you. Get Locked On Canadiens ad-free, plus members only Discord access and more. Head to lockedoncanadiens.supercast.com to join the club. For those of you on video, we send you to the first ever 24/7 national Locked On Podcast Network YouTube channel on audio. Make sure your second listen is NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL. You can find the show everywhere we're posting things at Locked On Canadiens, Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok primarily. You can find me at Maybe It's Ian. You can find Laura at The Actor Stick. Thank you for tuning in. Deep breaths. We'll be all right. We'll see you tomorrow.